Good morning, West Coast. Good afternoon, East Coast. I hope everybody had an awesome Thanksgiving. Fids is back in the house. He's looking good with a new haircut. Looking awesome. Happy to have him back. Last week, I got a lot of. I'm going to admit it. I missed a lot on fantasy last week. Last week for me was just an absolute disaster in terms of fantasy. But for wagering, I did actually hit a few. Especially this Thursday for Thanksgiving. Giants actually covered. They had the backdoor cover there at the end. I was thrilled for that. Detroit also covered. I was also happy about that. So not happy the Giants lost, but happy that they covered. So before we get into any of the wagering and our fantasy football stuff, let me go over some of the weather that we're going to be seeing today. If you don't already, I told this guy I was going to shout him out on this show. His handle is Matt FF Dynasty. He has some of the greatest weather updates for every Sunday morning. So I highly recommend you following him. He says that in the Atlanta and Washington game, there's going to be slight winds up to 20-mile-an-hour gusts, steadily at 8 miles an hour. So nothing too crazy. Baltimore, Tennessee, 14-mile-an-hour winds with 25 plus winds of gust. Green Bay at Philly, 15 miles an hour sustained wind, 25-mile-an-hour gusts. Denver at Carolina, 16-mile-an-hour and then 30-mile-an-hour gusts. And then finally, actually, we got two more. Chicago at New York, 10-mile-an-hour sustained winds, 25-mile-an-hour gusts. And then finally, Cincinnati at Tennessee, 15-mile-an-hour with 30-plus-mile-an-hour gusts. And then the big one here that he says is the Tampa Bay at Cleveland. He says that it was expected to be a lot worse than it currently is. But again, rain and possible thunderstorms are expected early and to ease by the second half. So make sure we're keeping that all, you're accounting for all the weather, obviously, especially if you're getting yourself into some wagering today. So speaking of wagering, Fids, what you got on the docket for us today?
I think that's a great weather update. I just quickly Googled on the side, like how much wind actually affects an NFL game. Obviously, we know wind is the weather component that affects NFL games the most, more than snow, more than rain, more than cold. Lightning will get the game shut down, but as long as it's playing, wind has the most effect on the actual outcome. So I actually just looked it up and it said when winds are 10 miles per hour, the field goal rates are essentially the same, but when they cross a 20-mile-per-hour threshold, you see a big reduction in average field goal distance and conversion rate. So I'm not sure how much it affects, the passing game at like the 15-mile-per-hour winds, but and certainly the kicking situations. If you have a kicker right now in one of those windy spots, I would definitely move off of that. For betting purposes, there's been some late money come in on Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this is very surprising. We've seen the Ravens be a 4-point favorite all week with like getting 80% of the money, but now it's dropped down to 3.5. So really, really questionable line movement. We call that reverse line movement in the gambling market. When there's 80% of the money one direction, the line moves against it. So that is a clear indicator to take Jacksonville plus 3.5 and Jacksonville money line. Jacksonville coming off of a bye. Ravens have been everyone's favorite team that just hasn't actually been performing that well. So maybe this is the day where Jacksonville steps up and actually gets a win. Jacksonville's gambling metrics have been really good. They just haven't been pulling out the actual wins. So getting them at plus 3.5 at home after the bye is a situation that I really like. Tampa Bay Buccaneers also coming off a bye. They're minus 3.5 on the road. I like playing their money line minus 174 on the Buccaneers money line. I think Tom Brady is starting to get this team rolling. Cleveland's in a bit of a look-ahead situation with Deshaun Watson coming back next week. So I like Buccaneers to keep their boat rolling and take down the Browns. And then let's keep going. I like the Chargers minus 3, even though the gambling metrics have been moving against me. I do think that's because of the Mike Williams injury news. I do think it's because Kyler Murray is going to play. So we're seeing some of the line movement trend towards the Cardinals, but that's not actually reflective of the betting splits. That's why I think it's more indicative of the injuries. And for that reason, I'm totally okay playing into the Chargers minus 3. I love Mike Williams. I have him on my fantasy team, but I don't think he makes the biggest difference in terms of the outcome of games. So Chargers minus 3 is a situation that I like. and New Orleans Saints +9. I really like Saints +9 today. They're going against the 49ers. Everyone loves the 49ers right now. They're picking up so much public steam, and yet this over-under is at 43. So, JP, if you have an over-under as low as 43, one of the lower totals on the board, but you have a spread as high as 9, one of the highest spreads on the board, there's some correlated value between knowing that the game is projected to be fairly low scoring. So it's going to be harder for that favorite to cover such a big spread. So getting that number at 9 is really juicy. And I'm playing Saints +9 in addition to all of those other things that I already gave out.
Yeah, I do find that Ravens game to be kind of suspect.
Very suspect.
It is very suspect, but I don't know, man. I can't get myself to jump on board with taking Jacksonville money line. Now, the +3, 3.5, that is definitely a little bit intriguing to me. However, I'm going to side and go against where this line movement is going. I'm going to go with the Ravens money line here. Like you mentioned before, this is the team that everyone's been riding all year. This is the week. This is the week. This is the week. And they just haven't put it together. With that being said, I do like them this week. They are getting healthy. Okay. They got their receivers back. They have Gus Edwards is active as well this week. So I do like Ravens money line here. As well as the other ones that you mentioned. I do like Tampa Bay money line as well. Coming off of a bye week, I think Tom Brady, they're rested. Godwin's going to have himself a day today. I have that feeling. He's on my daily fantasy sports team this week. I love Godwin for his price point as well. So I do like Tampa Bay here against Cleveland Brown at the money line position as well. The other game that I think that I took was the Denver Broncos over the Carolina Panthers. That line actually moved from the morning. It was -1, and now it's clear pick'em. I'm going to go with Denver here. I know no one wants to take Denver, right? Nobody wants to take Denver. Everyone's been staying away from Denver and Russell Wilson. However, Carolina Panthers are just simply not good. They are a disaster offensively in terms of the quarterback play. So I think Denver's defense is also not a bad daily fantasy defense to play this week as well, especially because they're one of like the middles, lower tier price points for daily fantasy this week. So if you want to save a little bit on your defense, I suggest going with Denver against Carolina. In what I mentioned earlier, there's going to be some wind there as well. I know you mentioned 20 plus is what you're looking for in the passing game, but it's the gusts are going over 30 miles an hour in Carolina this week. I live in South Carolina, and I was walking my dog earlier this morning. It is windy out there, so don't take that for granted. So I'm going to go with Denver as well, money line. And then the interesting one here for me is the Jets and the Bears. Okay, the Jets and the Bears is at -7 currently. I know that's a big number, but what are the Bears offensively without Justin Fields is my question. What are they going to look like? Is this going to be a David Montgomery filled day? I could definitely see that. They're going to rely heavily on the run. But I think this New York Jets defense is for real. The 7 does scare me. However, if I'm not betting this game, but if I was, I'm probably going to take the Jets at the -7 here.
Yeah, I'm on the Jets. I jumped on the Jets when it was at -220 for their money line when the spread was 4.5. We didn't know Fields was going to be out. We just liked the situational spot of the Jets likely changing their quarterback and having a very fast running defense going against this Fields fast offense. It makes me like the Jets even more. I think it's a strong money line play. I think it becomes a strong teaser spot. I think Garrett Wilson presents a very nice DFS spot. And then commenting back to your Godwin stuff, Godwin is in my DFS lineup this week. I actually gave out my entire lineup on the show this week, JP, kind of doing a Thanksgiving treat to everybody, to saying, hey, instead of the core 4 that I normally give, here's the full shebang. Here's who I'm playing for cash lineups. So I'll even give it out right here. It's Mahomes is my quarterback. Jeff Wilson, Samaje Perine, and Rachaad White are my 3 running backs. Tyreek Hill, Godwin, and Garrett Wilson are my receivers. Hayden Hurst is my tight end, and I'm rocking with the Chiefs defense as my defense.
Okay, and then so since we're on the daily here, I'm going to pull up mine here for FanDuel. I'm going with Joe Burrow at quarterback. I think Joe Burrow is going to have himself a day today against Tennessee's defense. Stout against the run. Very, 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 very shady against the pass. So I'm going to go Joe Burrow, and I'm going to stack that with Tyler Boyd. I like Tyler Boyd's price point here at 6,700. I think, so right now Tennessee ranks 30th in pass defense. So I like that stack if you're going to go Joe Burrow. I as well have White. I'm also going Palmer at wide receiver along with Godwin. And then in my flex, news just broke that James Robinson is a healthy scratch today. So Michael Carter for the Jets could be a very sneaky play, even in the pass game too, with the new quarterback coming into play. I could see a lot of dump downs. We just don't know what he's going to do. I think they rely heavily on Carter today in the run game, especially because I just mentioned James Robinson is out. Goal line carries are going to be at a premium here. So I do like Michael Carter as my flex, and he's only $6,200 on FanDuel. So
how would you rank the 4 running backs that are kind of dealing with the injuries to their I guess we could throw Michael Carter in there too. I'm going to throw out a group of running backs to you,
sure.
JP. Ready?
Yep.
Jeff Wilson Jr. without Mostert.
Yep.
P. Ryan without Mixon. Rachaad White without Fournette. Latavius without anyone else in Denver. And now Michael Carter without James Robinson. Who are we looking at as like the best place in that group? They're all relatively priced the same. Is it Jeff Wilson because the Texans match up? Is it Michael Carter because the catching upside? Is it Rachaad White because the catching upside? Where are you going if you're in DFS and all these guys are priced between $5,000 and $6,000?
I like Jeff Wilson as my number one there. I just think he's proven out of all those guys, he can be a total workhorse, and he is productive when he gets the carries. And then second, I'm going to go Rachaad White. I think the Bucs are looking for a spark offensively, and I think this is his coming out party. We've been saying it since the offseason. Rachaad White is a special talent in the pass game as well as in the run game. I think Rachaad White is going to have himself a day today. I am playing him everywhere, even in season-long fantasy leagues that I have him because I've stashed him for such a long time. So I'm going to go Rachaad White there as well. So Jeff Wilson and Rachaad White are my top 2 out of those. And then I think I'm going to go Michael Carter. I mean, this news is surprising. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why James Robinson is inactive. I just got the notification on my sleeper app, so I didn't really read into it much, but he's a healthy scratch. I guess they really trust Michael Carter in the spot.
See, that opens up a very sticky situation for me in DFS. Do I go with P. Ryan and Godwin, or do I pivot to Michael Carter over P. Ryan and then bump up from Godwin to Keenan Allen? Without Mike Williams, Keenan Allen in a full point PPR might be a better version of Godwin going against the Arizona Cardinals. Should get absolutely peppered with targets. Is the downgrade from P. Ryan to Michael Carter worth going up from Godwin to Keenan Allen?
Well, you're starting White too, aren't you? So the Godwin and White could offset himself just a little bit in terms of the fantasy output. So I would pivot the other way, but I'm starting both White and Godwin in mind, but I have a different play because I'm starting Eckler as well at running back. I spent a lot on Eckler. I think Eckler finds himself in the end zone at least twice today for the Chargers. So I would pivot and go the other way. I don't really I like P. Ryan, but I'm not in love with P. Ryan. I think we know what he is. I think we know we're going to get from him.
That Tennessee defense could be very good against the run.
Right. And that's why I'm stacking the quarterback and the receiver in that game for Cincinnati and staying away from P. Ryan. I think P. Ryan's going to be heavily also rostered as well in daily fantasy sports. But I'm not 100% sure. I don't have that app that you have that shows, percentage of rostering for these guys. But I just think he's so heavily rostered. He's not really worth it in my view. I'd rather go with Rachaad White over him in my opinion. So
awesome.
All right, so let's get to some of the questions. Yes, let's get to some of his listener questions. Guys, I understand that this is a shorter week, obviously, because of all the Thanksgiving games. I didn't get as many questions. A lot of people have their rosters already solidified because if you think about it, there was 3 really big games on Thanksgiving with a lot of players involved. So some of these rosters have been set. So I didn't get many questions, but these are the questions in which that I received. So the first one is from Javi Goal, and he asks, Pittman, Rachaad White, or Brendan Ayuk at the flex full point PPR? Who do you got?
Ooh.
This is a tough one. I like all of them. So this is a tough one.
Full point PPR, probably Rachaad White just because of the volume that he's going to get. Ayuk with his 2 catches for 2 touchdowns can't be relied upon. Pittman, the Colts just run so much. So I would just go with Rachaad White for the guaranteed volume in a full PPR setting.
Yeah, I go White for the floor, but I go Pittman for the ceiling. And the reason why I say that is the Steelers' pass defense is the worst in the league. So you're right.
Playing this game?
I don't know. Did not read that. I'm not sure. If he is, then I would pivot away a little bit and still go Rachaad White as the first. But in the order, I'm going Rachaad White, Pittman, and then Brandon Ayuk. I love Brandon Ayuk either way. I think he's just a stud in terms of playing with Jimmy G. I think Jimmy G relies on him a whole lot. He's kind of a security blanket. But again, you're absolutely right. You are banking on a touchdown with Ayuk. With the other guys, you can bank on a few dump passes with Rachaad White. A rushing touchdown is definitely, I think it's definitely happening. If anytime touchdown, Rachaad White would probably be a good bet here without Fournette active. And then Pittman, I could see a couple of big plays for Pittman for this pass defense against a horrendous Pittsburgh defense. So that's the order. White, Pittman, and Ayuk for me. Next question, Boyd or Patterson in a full PPR? I'm going to go Boyd here. I don't like the usage of Patterson as of late. It's kind of disheartening, right? Because Patterson is such a fantasy stud when he gets the carries and he gets the dump downs, but he just hasn't been getting them. I think he had 12 carries last game, which isn't terrible, but he didn't do anything with them. I think he had 54 rushing yards last week. I like Boyd. Chase is out again, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm playing him in daily fantasy this week, so I'm going to go Boyd over Patterson, but very similarly ranked overall rankings for me between the two.
Yeah, I agree. I lean Patterson. I mean, I lean Boyd, and honestly, for the Patterson usage thing, I lean pick up Tyler Algier as a late season stash. He's available on my waiver wire right now. And I'm seriously considering grabbing him and putting him on my bench instead of Derrick Henry's handcuff and just dropping Hilliard. Crossing my fingers that Henry doesn't get injured, because I think Algier, late season, if Patterson phases out, if the Falcons kind of drop off from the playoff race, if the Bucs win today, if the Falcons lose today, like we're expecting, the Falcons are going against the Commanders, which are one of the best run defenses in the NFL, so not the best matchup for them either. Boyd is going against the Titans, who struggle against the pass, and no Jamar Chase. So I think matchup-wise, Boyd is definitely in a better spot. And I think usage rate down the stretch, I would be concerned about Patterson.
Yeah, and if you guys have been listening to my podcast since the summertime, I was all over Tyler Algier very early. I just like him, and I like him even better now that what you mentioned later on the season when the Falcons have kind of mailed it in. I think they're going to see what they got out of him. They're going to see what they got. They're going to run him to death. Goal line carries as well. He's a strong back, physical back. BYU is a stud. So I agree. I think stashing Algier is a huge plus for you if you can go ahead and go do that. Deep right sleepers at tight ends. I hate this tight end position. I can't stand it. It's been a headache for me all season long. I was one of those idiots that drafted Kyle Pitts early. And Fitz, I wasn't lying to you, though. I went down with the ship with him, okay? It took a season-ending injury. I started him every week expecting something to change, and nothing changed. He was getting the looks later on in the year, a couple weeks in a row. He got a decent amount of looks. It just Mariota could not find the connection with him whatsoever. And now I'm forced to find a tight end sleeper. So this is actually my question. Are there any sleeping tight ends that you like this week?
There's so many.
So I'll give you an example. So right now I have Conklin in at my tight end position. Okay, and the reason I have Conklin in at my tight end position is the change of quarterback. Conklin was not getting targeted by Wilson, but he was getting targeted by Flacco. I think offensively, the Jets want to run the ball today. And there's nothing better than a nice tight end power pass in this Jets offense to find the end zone. So basically, I'm just looking for a touchdown out of my tight end. So I'm going to go with Conklin here. If you have any names, throw them out there, and I'll check if they're available on the waiver wire. But I'll tell you right now, it is slim picking.
I'll give you two right off the bat. Is Hayden Hurst available?
Nope. I wish he was. I'm starting him in my sleeper league.
So then I'm going to assume Foster Moreau also unavailable.
Correct.
Those would be the two that I would give in terms of DFS. What about Logan Thomas?
Yes, is available, but his injury scares me. So he was banged up because I had him. It's funny that you said that. I actually had him, and I just dropped him for Conklin because I had one more move, and I had no one else I could drop. I worry playing a guy like that who's always hurt, plays a couple of snaps, gets hurt, and there goes my week. So I'd rather take the possible full game out of Conklin and sneak in a touchdown than take a chance on Thomas. I do like Thomas when he's fully healthy, but he's not right now. So I'm a little worried.
So They're very similar. Logan Thomas has a receiving yards prop today of 26.5. Tyler Conklin has a receiving props of 25.5.
All right. So not a bad move on my part in terms of health.
0.10 to the injured player. So if you want to
Gosh, those are some ugly numbers, man.
If you want to avoid the injury risk, you get your 25 out of Conklin and call it a day.
25, 2.5 fantasy PPR points for me on deck.
And maybe he makes it in like 6 catches to make up for the in PPR.
Let's hope. All right, next question. We already talked about this. Was thoughts on Rachaad White? We both like Rachaad White here this week.
Love him.
Yeah, I love him too.
In every optimizer DFS chalk play, must play situation today. Good matchup. Very talented running back.
Spark plug.
Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with White today.
Next question: full point PPR: Kareem Hunt or Kieran Williams?
You can't play Hunt at all right now, so you have to play Kyren, whatever it is. I think Kieran might be the full-time running back for the Rams this week. You never know what they're doing with Cam Akers. These are both semi-backup running backs in PPR spots, but I do expect Williams to get way more work. If we also expect the Rams are 16-point underdogs, 16-point underdogs. Last year's Super Bowl champion is a 16-point underdog already. That's freaking crazy. So if we factor that in, like maybe Akers is off the field and Williams is playing a lot more. For the Hunt, I just think they're going to run Chubb as much as they can. So I would go Williams.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go Kareem Hunt just to be a little bit different here. And the reason that I'm thinking that is I hate the Rams offensive line and I hate the quarterback play that's going to be happening here for the Rams. So I could just see that they're just going to play man coverage on the outside, say, okay, you're not going to run the ball. We're going to force you to throw with a practice squad quarterback and see what you're going to do. Allen Robinson is also out today at wide receiver for the Rams. That's 2 of their top wide receivers are out. Higbee is questionable. This is just a disaster. I don't like any of these guys in terms of Hunt or Williams, but I'm going to lean Hunt and hope that what ends up happening is that Tampa Bay shuts down the run totally and they have to resort to some short pass game. There you get some Hunt, dump down screen passes and then pray for a touchdown. So I'm going to lean Kareem Hunt by just a slight bit. Next question, Marquise Brown or Cortland Sutton in a half-point PPR? Sutton. I'm going Sutton, yeah.
Yes, Judy's not playing. Is this Hollywood's first game back?
First game back.
Let's see how it shakes out. I don't know if Dortch is playing, but he was very involved. I think Rondale is also out. So, I mean, there's also a lot of opportunity for Arizona, but you have a guy returning off injury versus Sutton. He had a great rapport with Wilson in the first half of the season. Now Judy's out. They're playing against the Panthers. I expect a good Sutton performance. He probably will be guarded by J.C. Horn, who's really freaking good. So that has to be taken into consideration. But for the volume, I trust Sutton.
Yeah, I'm going Sutton here too. I don't even think I wouldn't even really think about that too much. I mean, if it turns out to be wrong, it's wrong. But I think Sutton's going to start turning it on a little bit here. Like I said, I do like Denver today. I think Sutton is their main guy, obviously with Judy out again. So give me Sutton over Marquise Brown. Like Fid said, let's just see what Marquise Brown is because Hopkins is still in the lineup. Hopkins is still going to demand his share of targets this week. So I'm going to go Sutton over Marquise Brown.
I think I'm playing the great Dan Besbris in our SportsEthos league today, and I'll be playing Sutton against him. So let's hope Sutton goes off and takes Dan the man down.
Tannehill or Brissett from Gabriel. Gabriel asks, are you going to start Tannehill or Brissett?
Oof, neither.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Tannehill.
I'm going to go Brissett. I think Brissett's last game in the lineup before they get their starter back. Brissett decides, you know what?
Airs it out.
Just let's air it out. Let's get Cooper involved early against a shady pass defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they're going to be playing a little bit from behind here. Like I said, I think Tampa Bay comes out steaming today offensively. So I'm going to go Brissett over Tannehill. Now, on the flip side, right, the Bengals could also make a run offensively, and then Titans have to play from behind. So then Tannehill's throwing the ball more. I just like Brissett's chances against the shady defensive backs of the Tampa Bay Bucs.
You like Treylon Burks this week, JP?
I like Treylon Burks. I do. I'm not starting him everywhere. However, I know a lot of fantasy experts are saying on Twitter that he's a must start. I don't see it yet. I don't see it yet. If he does well today, then I would jump on that bandwagon. But I don't see it yet. I do like him though. But
I'm personally must starting him in a pinch because my Mike Williams and Judy are both day to day but out today. So he's my fourth wide receiver behind also Devontae. So I have to start him given the pinch that I'm in. But I'm surprised to hear that a lot of other fantasy analysts are on him. I would think that's a heavily skeptical bust situation.
Yeah.
Bet the under on Treylon Burks' yards. He only played 50% of the snaps last week. I don't know. Maybe he could pop off, but if everyone's on start Treylon Burks, it makes me very nervous.
And that's kind of a bold statement, right? We're going on the opposite of that trend because everyone is saying Treylon Burks. So if that ends up hitting that under, it's a pretty good bet.
I mean, it's a fade the public situation, JP, right? Like there's the books know more than us fantasy nerds. So they have formulas, they have metrics, they have algorithms to price these things. If everyone sees this line, it's like, oh my God, he's going to break out. He's probably not this week.
Need to start two: Latavius Murray, Lazard, Palmer, Christian Watson, Pirine, or Rachaad White. Pick two.
Rachaad White must.
I'm going Rachaad White and Palmer.
Palmer.
Yeah, I'm going Palmer. I think he's been wide receiver 4 since the injuries occurred to the LA Chargers. I get it. Keenan Allen is back. Is Keenan Allen going to stay back? Is he going to play 100% of the snaps? I'd like Palmer this week. I'm starting him in daily fantasy. The other one that I would think about would be Christian Watson, just because of his upside and touchdowns. Rodgers seems to love him in the red zone, and if Rodgers loves somebody in the red zone, he seems to always go to that guy in the zone. So I'm going to go Rachaad White and Palmer here. We lost Fids, but that's my start. Palmer and Rachaad White. I know Fids is probably going to lean Pirine, but I could be wrong. Let me get him back in here. He just got back.
Sorry about that.
You're good. I just mentioned that you're probably going to go Pirine. Am I right?
I would have definitely gone Rachaad White. And then my second one, I would lean towards – I honestly think they're all great options. Lazard, no. Against the Eagles, we know that the wind is going to be there, no. Christian Watson, you're kind of chasing steam here with the touchdowns. Probably no. I like Latavius Murray and Pirine for the guaranteed work. Right. Palmer's got upside though, so I'm not gonna hate on it. If Sean, if you're in a situation where you know how your matchup is going to go because of the way that the Thanksgiving games went, then I would play. If you need upside, you go White and Palmer. If you need steady eddies, you consider Latavius Murray or Pirine.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I would even if I need my steady eddies, I'm going to go Murray and I'm going to go White. If I don't, I need points. I'm going to go White and I'm going to go Palmer.
I completely agree.
Next, Rachaad White or Aaron Jones in a full point PPR. This is a tough question. You got to find a way to get both those guys in. I guess you maybe started somebody on Thanksgiving and you can't fit one of these guys in. I'm going to go Aaron Jones. I love Rachaad White, and we've been saying it all show long. But I think Aaron Jones against the Eagles is the play. The Eagles, we know, are not the best against the run game. They did bolster their defensive line last week with 2 defensive tackles. However, I think Aaron Jones is the play here over Rachaad White, but it's certainly close because I love both of them.
I'm going to go Rachaad White. I don't trust Aaron Jones. I don't trust any Packers people right now. I don't trust anyone against the Eagles defense. They have a great front. I think Rachaad White is a locked-in must-play this week.
Yeah, also take into account Aaron Jones was limited in practice all week long. So if the Packers end up going down, X amount of points, maybe it's an A.J. Dillon type of game. But I just like Aaron Jones. You drafted him early in full seasons. You got to ride him here in a kind of a toss-up choice, Rachaad White or Aaron Jones. And that is all the questions that I have from my Twitter. So that's all the start and sit questions. Any other comments or anything from you, Fitz? What you got?
No, I don't. I don't. I think I think Rashad White anytime touchdown score is interesting. I think Jeff Wilson anytime touchdown score is interesting.
Yep, and I agree. So I know this show was a little bit shorter. I knew it was going to be shorter because of the Thanksgiving Day games. So if you got any your questions, I greatly appreciate it. If you joined us, thank you. Make sure you like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. We are here every Sunday. I'm actually not going to be here next Sunday. I'm going up to New York to visit my family, but I will be back the following week. But Fids will be here. And
with me. Am I
I don't know.
hosting next week?
I think you're going to have to host. You and Steve.
The comment section is about to be blowing up. Everyone's so excited. Hopefully, Markel Fultz plays today. I agree, even though that's in the NBA, Mark. Come back next week and check out Fids on the hosting ones and twos of the live show. Let's do it. JP, I will miss you, but I will,
buddy.
Come with some energy next week and maybe some special guests that I bring in.
I also want to shout out Bergen Catholic Football High School won our 19th state championship game over the weekend. Beat Don Bosco Prep, our arch rival, 45-0. We were ranked in the top 5 in the country this year, and then they beat us in the regular season. We came out and met life and absolutely put a whooping on them, 45-0. So congratulations to my Crusaders. We're back on top. So just wanted to shout you guys out real quick. All right, so that's all I got. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Fids will be back next week. Make sure you're subscribing, liking, following us on Twitter. Y'all have a good Sunday.
Let's do it.